Eleanor Davies, at 83 years young, resided in a charming, albeit time-worn, stone cottage named Rosehaven, nestled in the heart of the Cotswolds. It was a haven, indeed, a quiet retreat from the hustle and bustle of a world she no longer quite understood, yet held dear nonetheless. Rosehaven was filled with the gentle murmur of wind rustling through climbing roses on its weathered walls, the ticking clock that presided over the warm hearth, and the familiar scent of lavender that permeated every room. Eleanor found solace in the predictable rhythms of her days. Mornings began with a strong cup of English breakfast tea and a scan of the newspaper, followed by a leisurely stroll through her sprawling garden, a vibrant explosion of color despite her increasingly clumsy green thumb. Afternoons were often spent tending her roses, which, despite being quite spiky, were her favorite and represented her love for beauty in the world. Evenings were reserved for a crackling fire, a good book, and the company of her ginger cat, Marmalade, a fluffy creature with an uncanny ability to sense her mood. But Rosehaven, despite its idyllic charm, was also burdened by unspoken memories. A lingering melancholy clung to the walls, a testament to the joys and sorrows that had shaped Eleanor's long life. Thomas, her beloved husband of 50 years, had passed away 5 years prior, leaving a void in her heart that seemed impossible to fill. His presence lingered in every corner of the cottage, a silent reminder of their shared laughter, whispered secrets, and unwavering love. It was this very melancholy that led Eleanor to the attic, seeking solace in an attempt to reconnect. Upon finding a trunk, this melancholy turned into something much more beautiful, a way to reconnect with a lost love and find peace. The catalyst for this particular day's journey down memory lane was the attic. Eleanor, spurred by a restless spirit and a desire to declutter before the winter months set in, had decided to tackle the long-neglected space above. It was a musty, cobweb-laden realm, filled with forgotten treasures and the ghosts of Christmases past. Huffing with effort, Eleanor climbed the creaking stairs, her arthritic knees protesting with every step. The air grew noticeably cooler, a stark contrast to the warm embrace of the cottage below. In the far corner of the attic, shrouded in shadows, she spotted it, an old, wooden trunk, its surface scarred and weathered from years of storage. It was a familiar sight, a vessel that had accompanied her on countless journeys throughout her life. The latches were rusted, and the wood bore the unmistakable scent of mothballs and old paper. Curiosity, as always, got the better of her. Hauling the heavy trunk towards the center of the room, Eleanor heaved a sigh of relief as it finally came to rest beneath a dusty skylight. With trembling hands, she unlatched the trunk, the hinges groaning in protest as the lid slowly creaked open. A wave of nostalgia washed over her, a potent cocktail of bittersweet memories that threatened to overwhelm her. There, nestled within the trunk, was a tapestry of her life, a collection of forgotten treasures that held the key to her past. First to be unearthed was the faded blue woolen blanket, the one her grandmother had gifted her as a child. Eleanor remembered vividly the day she received it. She had been a shy, introverted girl, struggling to find her place in the world. Her grandmother, a woman of unwavering strength and gentle wisdom, had sensed her unease and presented her with the blanket as a symbol of her unwavering love and support. "Whenever you feel lost or afraid, Eleanor," she had said, her voice soft but firm, "wrap yourself in this blanket and remember that you are loved." The blanket had been her constant companion throughout her childhood, a source of comfort during lonely nights and a reminder of her grandmother's unwavering belief in her. Years had faded the color, worn fragile the fabric, but the comforting essence lingered. Beneath the blanket, Eleanor discovered a stack of letters, their envelopes yellowed and brittle with age. They were from Thomas, her beloved husband, written during their courtship. Eleanor remembered those days with a deep sense of longing, a pang of nostalgia that tugged at her heartstrings. Thomas had been a dashing young man with a quick wit, a charming smile, and a heart of gold. He had swept her off her feet, igniting a love that burned brightly for over half a century. Their courtship had been a whirlwind of romantic dates, stolen kisses, and whispered promises. Each letter was filled with his playful banter, his passionate declarations of love, and his dreams for their future together. Rereading them now, Eleanor found herself transported back to those heady days of youthful infatuation, the memory of her pounding heart almost palpable. As she continued, she noticed the letters grew darker, and she discovered they were from the war, when Thomas had been sent to fight. Every day he sent her a letter, and every day she worried about his safety, but he had returned to her eventually, and the letters soon returned to their flirty and playful nature. Deeper still, Eleanor unearthed a worn leather-bound journal, her diary from her university years. It was filled with youthful musings, impassioned poems, and scribbled sketches. Leafing through the pages, Eleanor couldn't help but smile at her younger self's idealism and naivety. She had been convinced that she had all the answers, that she knew exactly where her life was headed. Life, of course, had proven to be far more unpredictable. There had been triumphs and failures, heartbreaks and joys, unexpected twists and turns that had shaped her into the woman she was today. But amidst the youthful angst and idealism, there was a spark of creativity, a thirst for knowledge, and a deep-seated desire to make a difference in the world. She found that her dream had been to be a doctor, but the war had made it impossible for her to go to school so far from home, in fear of what might happen to her family. However, as she continued to read, she discovered that she was happy with the way her life had turned out, regardless of what it was not. Next, Eleanor discovered a small, wooden box, its surface intricately carved with delicate floral patterns. Inside, nestled on a bed of faded velvet, was a delicate silver locket, a gift from her mother on her 16th birthday. Her mother had been a woman of quiet strength and unwavering grace, a pillar of support for Eleanor and her siblings. She had instilled in them a love of learning, a respect for others, and an appreciation for the simple things in life. The locket contained 2 tiny portraits, one of her mother as a young woman, her eyes sparkling with mischief, and another of her father, a kind and gentle man with a warm smile and a twinkle in his eye. Her parents had always been her role models, their love for each other a shining example of what a marriage should be. As she stared at their faces, a wave of gratitude washed over her. She was so grateful for their love, their guidance, and the values they had instilled in her. She was comforted that they had lived to see her find love and happiness as well, and felt their presence continue to guide her through life. Continuing her exploration, Eleanor unearthed a collection of postcards from her travels around the world with Thomas. They had always loved to travel, to immerse themselves in different cultures, and to experience the beauty of the world firsthand. Each postcard evoked a vivid memory: the bustling markets of Marrakesh, the serene temples of Kyoto, the dramatic landscapes of Patagonia. They had climbed mountains, explored ancient ruins, and sailed across vast oceans. Each journey had enriched their lives, broadened their perspectives, and deepened their bond. Eleanor remembered the time that they visited the Amalfi Coast in Italy. She had been sick the entire time, but Thomas had continued to take care of her and make sure she had a good time, even if that meant that he was the only one having fun. It was these small things that she remembered most and that showed her how much he loved her. And finally, at the very bottom of the trunk, Eleanor found a single, handwritten recipe card, its edges frayed and stained with years of use: apple crumble. It was her grandmother's recipe. Whenever Eleanor was sad, the recipe had always made her happy again. Though she had had it memorized long ago, she still kept that recipe as a keepsake for the memories that it gave her. Tears streamed down Eleanor's face as she carefully closed the trunk, a mix of joy, sorrow, and gratitude. It was a vessel filled with her life, her love, her memories. She returned the trunk to the shadows, feeling a profound sense of peace wash over her. Though she still missed Thomas, she knew that his love would always be with her, a bright flame burning in her heart. Back in her cottage, Eleanor settled into her favorite armchair, marmalade curled up contentedly in her lap. As the fire crackled merrily in the hearth, she reflected on the treasures she had unearthed in the attic. She was grateful for the life she had lived, the love she had shared, and the memories she had created. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange, pink, and purple. Eleanor closed her eyes, feeling a deep sense of contentment wash over her. She was at peace with her past, grateful for her present, and hopeful for the future. And as she drifted off to sleep, she dreamt of blue woolen blankets, love letters, silver lockets, and apple crumble, a tapestry of memories woven together by the threads of love and loss. For Eleanor Davies knew that life was a precious gift, a journey filled with both joys and sorrows. And she was determined to cherish every moment, to live each day to the fullest, and to never forget the lessons she had learned along the way. The next day, Eleanor finally felt at peace, something she hadn't felt for a long time. She spent the rest of her days doing things she loved, writing poetry, painting, and spending time in her garden. She had made peace and had found closure. She had enjoyed her life, and she was content with the way it had turned out.